Welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, where today will be part 2 of our year-end wrap-up for 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have our very worshipful brother, Stephen Colbeth of King Solomon Lodge number 60 in Auburn, Washington.
Hi,
Did I do it again?
That's okay. Keep going. It's okay. Keep going. It's the year end. It's a year end show, man. Come on.
Year-end. I have to put all the good stuff into one episode here. And two other guys from Canada. So worshipful brother Jarrod Dunham of Penticton 147 and Stephen Chung of Prince Charles 153. And I'm Matt Appel, and I'm in Mill Creek 243, and we meet in Montlake Terrace, Washington. Not in Mill Creek, because, that would make sense. So we, our last episode was a wrap-up, sort of the year of episodes of sort of some of our favorites, and at least I think we hit one on my list, so, and a couple of the other ones, so before we got, as usual, dragged off topic. So we figured we'd continue the discussion on this episode, and I will start just because I have the microphone and I wanted to. So we did a series, it seems almost a series of series about where Freemasonry is going and why is it dying, or is it refining, and that sort of stuff. Which I think was sort of kicked off by the Freemasonry Isn't Dying, It's Refining article that Robert Johnson wrote, which we reviewed, or which we read several years after it was published originally. But like I said, I thought that kicked off a series of discussions, which I found interesting, at least. Did any of those episodes make you guys' lists, or am I?
Yeah, it's something. One of those topics is something easy to go down a rabbit hole on, and just keep. It's certainly a discussion, a good meeting after the meeting discussion. We're constantly trying to figure out why guys aren't engaged, and why is Masonry dying? Is it not? Are we doing? It's always a meeting after the meeting discussion. So it's certainly a good topic.
Well, and I think that led into one of the, of course, one of my favorite episodes is Should Lodges Exist? Because I honestly believe that's a discussion that lodges need to seriously have. And we shouldn't be afraid to bring that up. Because, just because a lodge ceases to exist doesn't mean that Freemasonry will cease to exist. But I think that one was sort of a byproduct of those articles. So
yeah, and just for the listeners' background information, Jarrod has been a member of not one but two lodges that have ceased to exist. So.
He's a mean one, Mr. Gridge.
I didn't cause the first one to close; they closed after I left.
Right.
It's just coincidence that I belong to that lodge.
But it was a very valid episode too, because especially in today's age, where lodges really need to consider it. Are there too many lodges in a district? With the size of the numbers where they're at, and really even you can't even go by the numbers. You got to go really by participation, and because there's lots of lodges that have 50 to 100 members, but get 20 to 30 guys out, right? And that's the level of participation that you really got to consider when your active guys fall under 15 guys on a regular basis. It makes it pretty challenging for a lodge, and they should be considering it, right? So, but yeah, swinging back to Matt's episode there, that did spring off several different conversations, which were very valuable. So it was a good episode to bring up there, Matt.
And just a little sneak peek that Matt's going to talk about later, but we're going to be going into next season. There's some discussion about lodge sizes and things like that too. And I don't know if it is 15 guys. You only need 3 officially to open and close a lodge, and so
comment got the eyebrow from Jarrod.
Well, I was just going to say, but in our jurisdiction, you need 16 to actually have a lodge in order to open a new. So
yes, I was getting there. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're absolutely keep going. Yeah.
Well, there's only 3 in a certain degree, 7 if you're in another degree, and
yeah, exactly. A well governed lodge and something that somebody can actually function and do. What if there was only 15 or 20 guys, but they all showed up, or most of them showed up all the time?
Well,
I think that might be a good sustaining lodge.
Well, you would think so, but try and do the Master Mason degree with only 15 guys. There's a real challenge in that. And, right. It takes a big cast to put it on, and maybe 20 is a better number, but there are several lodges that now have between 15 and 20 on a regular basis.
I don't mean to make this about lodges, but when you say it's 16 and ours is 15, if you had 16 guys under your constitution rules, isn't that lodge supposed to be able to do all the work, right? And so those 16 guys, if it is only 16 guys, have to be able to do all the work.
Yeah.
And so you should be able to perform any part of any degree, including the dramas.
You can do a Master Mason degree with 16 guys.
Yeah.
It just requires people sitting in the chairs to actually do all of their parts instead of foisting them off onto someone else.
or getting loan-ins from other lodges.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's kind of my point, is that if a lodge was required to do that, then and was expected, as you join and you were expected to be part of that culture of constant learning and advancement and learning all or some of the work, I think that would potentially change the culture of the lodge as well.
What? A lodge of Freemasons practicing Freemasonry?
Ooh.
See, this is why these episodes were so good, because even now, 6 months later, they're sparking debate among us.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
and for those in Washington listening, in about 7 months, you'll have a resolution before you to consider. I'm going to take advantage of an extra 3 minutes. No. Communication. You'll have a resolution before you that will discuss the idea of lodges maintaining their charters, or the ability to, could you obtain your charter today if you had to? And it's going to be called lodge proficiency. So watch out for that.
Yeah.
Watch out for that.
Ghost of Lodge's future.
Look forward to hearing more about it. Right.
We kind of expected to die. I expected it to die, but it'll spark conversation as I'm starting to evangelize it around and talk to people about it. They're like, yeah, that's important. That's important. So now, maybe it won't die quite as fiery death as I think it might, but yeah, it ties right into why should lodges exist, and what should they be if they aren't a lodge? What is a lodge? We talked about it. What is a lodge for? To make Masons, a chartered lodge. But what are we doing here? We're not a lodge, but we're not a secure place for instruction, so we can't go into too much of the depth, but we're like a club, kind of podcast.
We're a clique.
A clique? Yeah,
we're the cool kids table.
I have never been accused of that, sir. Not once.
I mean, come on, look at us, all of us. No, do we not look like the cool kids at school?
Well, 3/4 of us look like we're festive and Christmassy.
Yeah.
We've got our festive gear on.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Grinch over there and his counterpart, and then there's David, who's properly Masonic.
At least I have my new lodge. This is our new lodge chire. So, boom.
Nice.
Ooh, those are sharp. I like that, buddy.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Shout out to he'll never listen, but shout out to Mike Palcadini, worship brother Mike Palcadini, who has been past master of our lodge and was voluntold to put this together and did willingly. It was great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Next time you do a run of those shirts, no. I think the shipping will kill you.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Polo shirt, on the other hand, send us a mail.
You're cutting out, Matt. You're doing the max headroom. Yeah.
I was just saying that if anybody out there or on this podcast wants a Working Tools podcast polo, I've got a couple still, and I can get more. I know where to find them.
I don't have one.
You know?
No, never got one. Year and a half
Sure.
later, still haven't gotten one.
Oh,
Wow.
Offline, tell me your size and your address, and I'll make sure you get one.
Why? I'm not embarrassed. I'm an extra large, baby.
Okay, Mr. Grinch.
Where's my broadcast button when you need it?
Who's editing this episode? So anyway, now that we're firmly back on topic, I will choose someone else. Anybody have a volunteer who wants to discuss one of the other things?
So, I did really enjoy, and I couldn't really put one in front of the other with respect to, but this year when we interviewed the Grandmasters of Washington and BC, I thought they were great episodes. And there was, I don't know, it was, the content this year was unique. They both shared some unique experiences that made their year special and different and whatnot. And we got multiple episodes of them, so I think those were on my favorites list. I do enjoy the interviews when we do them, and to have the Grandmasters come on here a couple times a year. We should remember to get the invite out to have the current Grandmasters make sure they get on before and do another episode before the end of their year. Right. But yeah, they both had great episodes and I enjoyed them. So I think those were the last two on my list.
I will say I don't know that our Grandmaster necessarily listens to our show, but maybe he'll catch it once in a while. To give him a little bit of credit, you may or may not remember, as part of his discussion, he talked about what we're going to be talking about in the new year with Are We Traveling, and I had never heard of that before. And so I went and pulled it up and did some research on it, and I have been dripping on these guys, these three guys, for the last 4 to 6 months about the idea whether I'm traveling. And so as a sneak peek, that's what we're going to be discussing in the new year. But there was some really neat stuff that each of the Grandmasters brought up. I was sad that I wasn't able to make that show where you talk with your Grandmaster, but I look forward to the end of the year wrap up.
Yeah, he's got a busy schedule going. I haven't touched base with him much, and mind you, I've been busy with the Junior Grand Warden planning Grand Lodge for 2025. So
you heard it here first, folks. Stephen Chung running for Junior Grand Warden.
No. No, I've been working with the current Junior Grand Warden to plan 2025, right? Yeah, and so he gets to choose that year where he wants to have it, and he's chosen here, so his hometown, right? Do they do that? Do they all do that in your? It goes to where they want to have their hometown host Grand Lodge.
They used to do that, and the last few years they've had ongoing contracts with a particular resort or location, and so they had done multiple years with that particular location. But in the past, yes, that was generally the Grandmaster's choice where he wanted to have it, and they generally went to their area where they're from, or somewhere they wanted to be. My mentor, Al Jorgensen, most wishful Al Jorgensen, had his out at Ocean Shores, and people still talk about that because it was kind of a destination. It's not anywhere near a real populous area, and so everybody kind of had to leave and go, even from other parts of the state. They all had to leave and go out to Ocean Shores, and I guess they had a parade down Main Street and a big banquet party. I guess it was really well done. Wish I could have gone to that years ago, but yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a default location in the Washington Masonic Code that if nobody says anything, this is where it's going to be, and then we vote on where to put it every year.
I enjoyed it, kind of going around different places. I did enjoy that.
I did most of the time. I didn't know that there was. I didn't know there was Washington east of Spokane. I thought it sort of ended at Spokane there, but apparently there's more out there. Who knew?
Yeah, we're gonna have our next two. One's in Nanaimo, and so that's the island. That's a whole day trip to get there, kind of thing. And then the next one after that is in Terrace, BC.
Now that's a day trip and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the distance to travel. So that's the problem with BC. We've got a lot of land to cover. So it's not just, jumping in a car and going for, a 4 to 5 hour drive. It's a trek, right? Like to go to Nanaimo, I got to drive to the coast. There's 4 hours. And then I got to get into the line for a ferry and hopefully get on it. And then, get over the ferry over to Nanaimo and drive in. That's quite the trek. And then Terrace, I think the only way to get there really is to fly in.
Yeah, because it's something like, I can't remember, I think it's a 13 or an 18-hour drive from here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. But
yep. So, that's quite the chore just to get to and from Grand Lodge, right? But that's where he wants to have it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's no different when everybody says, let's go to Kelowna. All the guys from the island and Terrace and everything, they have to come here, right? And we're in the middle of the mountains, so
Yeah, it's 17 hours from here, so it's almost just as far from here as it is for you guys. Terrace, I bet you it's pretty out there, though.
Yeah. Let's get back on track with the shows, right? So, David, did you have any others on your list?
Thank you for saving me from getting myself in trouble. Go ahead, Jarrod.
I didn't write any more down because I figured there would be plenty of discussion. Again, there's just so many, so I'll defer to anybody else that has any that they would like to bring up. There's shaking of heads happening.
I can tell you what my least favorite episodes were.
Sure, that'd be fun.
My least favorite episodes, at least for me, are the interview ones. I never know what to say on those.
Really?
Yeah, I'm more than willing to listen to someone talk, but we all know I'm opinionated, but I just, for some reason, the proper, mom don't have anything nice to say thing. I don't talk very well on the interview ones.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah. You may not like. I was going to bring up an idea on our after show, and so that may not go over well. We'll see. We'll see.
Or I could do work on myself and actually get better at it.
Well, what I was thinking is that one of the comments I had from a listener, was that just like they enjoy the format, they really enjoyed the shows where it appeared that we actually had done some research and that we had done some homework on things and really knew, or at least had some different ideas. And that's what I really appreciated about the columns and about the 24-inch gauge. Those were pretty early on in the year. And I think we had kind of all decided that, hey, this is going to be the new format. And so we were all kind of digging in, and I'll admit that I fell off the wagon a little bit towards the end of the year. I wasn't doing as much research as I probably should have on some of the topics, but we did stay true to the article idea and the kind of the short series idea, and those bled into each other over a couple of months. And so there wasn't necessarily a requirement to go out and do heavy research on symbolism or things like that. They were more like the lodge issues or the masonry dying or membership and things like that. And so there weren't symbolic discussions as much as there were in the very beginning. And I enjoyed those because it forces me to remember, like Jarrod always comments, why we're here as Masons. It's the learning and teaching and developing ourselves. And I appreciate that about the show, that even last year and this year, it's forced me, because of the series shows we did last year, it forced me to dig back into Mackey's or Pike or whatever, and open the books and really try and find some other meanings to things. I don't always remember them later, which I wish I did. I don't have an endemic memory. I wish I did have that kind of thing. But just listening to the column show, I thought, oh, that is such a good topic we discussed. And it reminded me that now I could, if I can remember to pull it out of my head when I'm in lodge room talking to new Masons, I can explain these ideas that we have, or I can at least direct them to a place where they can get that information. And so it warmed my heart to have that. So I guess that's the idea. The overall content and things we did is what I really enjoyed.
Note to self: actually read the article. Check
it. and research. When I talk to new guys about the ritual, I say, if I'm often looking up words that I think I know the meaning to, but I maybe don't quite know. And so I'll look up the meaning to the word so I have a better background. It helps me to remember what the words are. And I said, if you want to go to the next level, look up some of the words in the definition of that word to learn about the definition of those words. What do those words mean? And if you go 2 or even a third layer deep, it can get a little bit threaded on that. But if you go at just 2 levels, what's the definition of a word and what's the definition of some of the words in that definition? Whoa, man, you have a whole new understanding of what the word means. And hopefully, I hope in my heart of hearts that we all talk about many times that the words that were chosen in our ritual have these kind of meanings. And I can only hope that's true. And that is my time up? And only hope that that's true, and even if it's not true, it's forcing us to dial in and to look at some of these meanings and understanding and to explore and to increase our knowledge and understanding.
Here. It's almost like it's personal growth or something like that.
Well, in a way, I mean, and I do believe that, there are, as they say, everything's illustrated by symbols veiled in allegory, right? And it's the peeling back the layers of the verbiage in our work that every now and then I get enlightened as to another lesson, or maybe not the lesson, but like you say, learning the meaning is the lesson, I suppose, that's meant to be sometimes, right? And I'm not the best reader, right? However, being that was the theme this year, I had my devices read these things to me a lot more. So I did get to, I guess, listening anyways to the articles, which was very enlightening in that sense, a lot this year. So it was good, right? And yeah, going back to our episodes, has anybody else got any of their favorites that we haven't mentioned or discussed yet?
I think we've wrung all the goodness out of this thing. We're done.
Well, then, as David suggested, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our listeners primarily, because without them, it's just 4 guys getting together on Zoom, right? And the ones that choose to interact with us, really appreciate that, because it gives us, more meaningful interactions. I really appreciate the team that we've got. David does an amazing job being our technical guy, producer, and editor, if you will. And yeah, because I really appreciate that.
Rainbow hands.
Yeah, rainbow hands. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a funny thing they do down there, Jarrod. Rainbow girls, rainbow hands. Right.
Or from Jarrod, the eyebrow is the equivalent, I think.
Right. But yes, thank you guys. Thank you, our listeners. Thank you to everybody that this podcast touches, and I hope that it has a positive impact for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. We really appreciate your subscribing, and that's one thing that helps us understand that we are reaching more people. It may seem like a silly thing, and we don't try to beat on it like other YouTube shows or other places that please hit that subscribe button or whatever, smash the like button and all that kind of stuff. We don't do that thing. However, that is an indication of our reach and that we're being we're successfully reaching people that want the information. So we appreciate the likes, we appreciate the subscribes, and especially the comments for sure. If you have ideas and things that you'd want to be included, we'd ask you to comment on our YouTube channel or comment on our Facebook page. All those links are in every one of the show notes for all those areas. And now even on Spotify, they allow for comments and other things as well. I don't know exactly how we'd see that. We haven't had any comments that I know of, and so I don't know. We'll figure out how to find that. But that area has been steadily growing. We do syndicate to all the different podcast and audio formats. But Spotify does have video now, so we'll see if that becomes a competitor for YouTube in the future. But we do try to reply to all the comments. I think we've done a pretty good job with that. And so we appreciate all of our listeners. I appreciate the hosts. I appreciate Matt coming on and being part of this and just diving in and becoming the voice of the show. And not to give away if Matt's going to talk about that our next year, I really appreciate Jarrod's input. I really appreciate the contrarian ideas, and we don't need that. We don't have that. Not need that. We don't. That was misspoken. We need that and don't have that often in our lives, and so it's great. Whether he really doesn't agree or he just brings it up because he wants to have a conversation. Sometimes I don't know, but it's great, and so we appreciate your involvement and continuity here with the show. And again, to give it away a little bit, in our next season, Jarrod's going to become a voice of the show as well, and be doing some readings for us as pretext for the show.
Just what everyone needed, more me. And it's my turn to talk, so I actually want to just thank you guys for inviting me on a year and a half ago, because I've really enjoyed coming and to getting together with you guys and spending the every other Sunday evening with you, and then I go back and I rewatch the episodes and I realize how much fun we have, and it makes me laugh again. And so it's a real joy being here with you guys.
Yep, the casual conversations that we have, our after shows, just getting together and doing this with you guys and the team it's awesome. Who'd have thought that? When we first got it going, it was like, how long is it going to last, right? And I look forward to coming here every other Sunday, like Jarrod says, and hanging out with you guys and having these conversations and Matt.
Yep. And frankly, I yammer on at the end of every episode, so I will just say thank you to all you guys and to listeners and everyone. This is a hoot. I love it. Thank you. So, as David has alluded to like 3 times there, Mr. Spill the Beans, we're in the next year. Our plan is to sort of take the article discussion idea and dial it up to 11. We're going to start with a discussion of this. I'm not sure to call it an article, a volume, a mini book,
series of articles. Yeah,
it's like 40 pages or so, called "Whither Are We Traveling" by Dwight L. Smith, who's a past Grand Master of, I want to say, Indiana. And we're going to start with that, and we're going to have Jarrod is going to be hopefully reading it, so that people who don't want to read it themselves can listen to his dulcet tones and have him in their ears. And we'll also we'll have links to it and all. It's all over the internet if you go look for it. So we're going to be reading that sort of in chunks and discussing it, and then we're going to sort of go from there. There was he wrote his own response to it a few years later, and then there was another response by called "The Laudable Pursuit" by a group called Knights of the North, and you can just keep going down the road of responses and interesting commentaries on, maybe not on this article, but on the same ideas as this article, and where it's coming from and where it leads to. So that's sort of what we're going to do for the coming year, or at least the first part of the coming year, until everyone gets tired of hearing me yammer on. So with that, on behalf of is there anything else I should be saying about the upcoming episodes? So again, on behalf of Stephen and Jarrod and David and myself, just thank you. Goodbye.